China show now, episode 138. Join us live as we talk about all the news coming out of China, straight to your eyes and ears.
And that's why we don't let him near the soundboard.
Oh, you should have not let me sit over here today,
That's a bad idea. Yeah, okay. As you can see, we're changing things up a little bit here because China's changed something up, and we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to cut through the rumors, we're going to cut through the BS, and we're going to tell you what's happening on the ground in China, and of course, what they're not telling you. So, yeah. You want to get right into it?
Yeah, let's do it. So, episode 138, we're going to be talking about how the flip-flop happened. The big, great flip-flop.
So let's, are we going to just saunter into what's
I just
new?
wanted to do a quick intro
Okay.
just for that, because it's important to understand that China pulled a wicked, crazy 180 out of nowhere, and it shocked pretty much everyone around the world, but there's so much bizarre nuance in its absolute chaos right now in China. So we're going to cover exactly what that chaos entails. And I think it's important for people to understand that it's a mixture of like still crazy zero COVID policy / abrupt removal of zero COVID policy / economic collapse surrounding zero COVID policy ending.
And also, it's a very mishmash depending on where you are in China and depending on the city and depending on, the situation.
It's wild.
Anyway, let's saunter into it with what's new, where we talk about what's new, specifically with regards to China. And the first thing we're going to talk about is, last time we told you about one of the previous leaders of China, Jiang Zemin, died. Okay? Yeah. And remember, as a result of that, they turned all the websites black. Well, grayscale, black and white. And you could not find a photo of Xi Jinping anywhere.
You couldn't. And it was just like, it was supposed to be a somber tone because of Jiang Zemin's death. You know what I mean?
Stop. Okay. That stuff's probably really loud.
Everyone loved it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Good.
I'm glad to hear.
Yeah.
Anyway, the fact of the matter is, we commented on how absurd it was to not see Xi Jinping in state media. And we're not joking, because guess what? Morning time's over, and I'm not talking about like morning musume. Okay? Morning time is over. So what do we have? Go to Xinhua, the, main news site. And what do we have? Oh, look at that. She says China supports this and that. She in my eyes.
I love she in my eyes.
I think you'd take a she in the toilet. You know what I mean?
Don't she in my eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the she out of your eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Going for a she.
Yeah.
Do
you want to go wake up and get she in your eyes?
No, I don't want she in my eyes.
Wipe the she out of your eyes.
It's ridiculous. So
look up that in the corner if you guys don't see it. It's up in the top right, I believe, for you guys.
What, the she in my eyes?
Yeah, just look at that. And it's permanent.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be there.
It changes the subtitle to like she's thoughts or she's day.
Moments.
Yeah, she's moments. Not even a joke. She's moments.
Dude, why we also want to cover this is, do you remember when we lived in China? This wasn't like
this. No, it wasn't like this.
Like right before we left, it was, but because it was Xi Jinping. But the previous leaders, there was none of this crap. I would hazard a guess. Every state media newspaper is 50% Xi. At least.
Yeah. I'd say it's more like 70% at this point.
Maybe.
It's not even a joke. Okay, take a look at the side. Okay, let's look at the side pane there. It says a brief timeline of Chinese chairman's COVID-19 response. Blah, blah, blah. President Xi Jinping. That's the first article. Below that, look at how Xi Jinping leads China's COVID-19 fight in 10 stories. Next one. Full text of Xi Jinping's keynote speech at
We didn't
GCC.
This.
No, this is like, we just took a screenshot. The one underneath that, Xi calls for fostering closer China-Arab community, blah, blah, blah. And the last one says China, Saudi Arabia issue a joint statement. Only one. Only one didn't mention him by name.
There? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 headlines there. You're pretty spot on about 70%, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. You see his picture. Okay, it's front and center. By the way,
look to the right as well. There's more.
Yeah, but I mean, you know how you can click next.
Yeah.
All of them had a picture of Xi. Every single one.
Xinhua.
Yes, exactly. Xi in my eyes, and then underneath
Xi in my eyes is so vulgar.
Someone needs to show a picture of someone getting pissed at it.
Where do you want me to see?
Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah, it's like, oh man.
There's no Xi in my eyes.
Anyway, underneath that, Xi receives honorary doctorate from King. What even is that? You get an honorary doctorate, Xi. It's
You
ridiculous.
know what the worst thing is for China?
What? And and the one beneath that, special report. She attends China's Arab summit. Special report.
Dude, you know what's dumb?
What?
Speaking of which, I made a video called "The Chinese Government's Really Stupid."
Yeah.
It's because they undo like the lore that they're trying to push, right?
Yeah.
The whole speculation in China is like, wait, maybe our leader actually is uneducated. Because
Yeah.
he is.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they're really trying to push this narrative. Nah, he went to Tsinghua. Nah, he has like postdoctorate degrees and all this stuff, right? And everyone's like,
Yeah, I don't
they're
really
starting
know
to
about
question
that.
it,
Yeah.
right? The worst thing you can do is she receives honorary doctorate. Because what that does is literally just say how he got all his other shit.
Yeah, exactly.
right?
He just received honorary
Yeah,
degrees.
like, it was that easy, then it's
Yeah.
how he got his degrees.
But again, I have to point this out to everybody that this is the front page of the biggest news site in China, okay? Xinhua.
Yeah.
And it's all Xi Jinping. In fact, only, let's see, one thing about flowers, because of course Xi Jinping, unless they say he planted them or something, he's not in that. The first C-19 jet delivered to China East Airlines, that's about airlines. And then share your ideas with China's premier. Who's China's premier? That's Li Keqiang still? Okay, so that's one. So let's count them. Out of all of these, everything on this page, only 1, 2, 3, 4 don't mention Xi Jinping by name. They probably have him in the article.
Oh, it's guaranteed.
It's definitely, they'll be like, Xi Jinping oversaw the delivery of this flight, this whatever.
He'll be in there.
Is that not insane to anybody else?
That's wild. It's worse than North Korea.
It is.
Because I looked at Pyongyang state media the other day, and it's bad. It's like, it's laughable. But there was more stuff that wasn't related to the leader.
Yeah.
This is outlandish to me.
Yeah, exactly.
There's more. I put more in there.
Okay, let's take a look. I
wanted to make sure we were well-rounded.
Yeah, okay. So did you go to ChinaDaily.com? Yeah, look at China Daily. Okay.
Look up in the top right.
Top right corner, Xi's moments.
Oh my god!
I know, right? Like, and you can't make it up. This is not. This is just a screen grab again. All right. Xi addresses China Arab State Summit. Okay. Underneath that, Xi's visit. Xi says China. Like, why do they have to do twice? Why is his name going to be
Xi.
in one
Shuang
headline?
Xi.
Yeah, Shuang Xi. Cigarettes. Yeah. Okay. Let's get us out of there. See if there's anything else about Xi. Yeah, Xi's moments. A brief timeline of the Chinese president. This and that.
Jeez.
Yeah. And then
Stop.
Xi visit old ties, new era. Seriously though, can they just stop? Xi Jinping. We get it, okay? You've got an ego. You're trying to push this cult of personality, but literally telling state media that they can only ever report on you exclusively is a bit much.
Yeah.
It's a bit
also,
much.
not super keen on the Saudi-China cooperative, this anime crossover. Not a huge fan of that.
Yeah, I mean, like everybody's going on about the petrodollar and they're going to undermine all of that.
Good thing oil's less important nowadays.
No,
I'm saying less and less and less.
Oh, you think so?
Hopefully this green tech initiative gets.
It's rubbish. Oil's going to be just as important.
I'm joking, by the way.
Yeah, and it's more important to me because how am I ever going to keep my Trans Am going
True.
without
Have to go hang out.
I
with
need
Xi
to
in
get a
Saudi
plot of land in Saudi Arabia that just pumps oil just for my car.
You will.
Anyway, let's move on from Xi in the news. Or do
you
we?
don't?
No, because now it's ecns.cn. Again, Xi meets. But yeah, Xi Jinping here, this and that, and the next thing. Guys, it's ridiculous. So when you see the Chinese state media had to go and black itself out and grayscale it, and they took Xi out of everything, it shows you just how ridiculous it is. He's only ever been out of the media when they can't put him in black and white, because that means he died in China.
Which is just, come on.
It's vain.
It's
worse than vain.
We're at Stalin Hitler levels, at this point of self-worship.
Yeah, we're at this level of ego.
Puff and I'll blow your house down, Goldilocks.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're kind of approaching that anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite there, but we're getting there. Anyway, back to the headlines. Maybe you want to explain what's going on with this U.S. manufacturing orders. This is quite a headline. US manufacturing orders from China down 40% in unrelenting demand collapse.
Yeah, well, there's a demand collapse for Chinese goods, and here's the deal: is that it's a lot of it's related to big, huge brands continuing to pull out.
Okay.
So a lot of what we're going to talk about a little bit later about the ease of COVID restrictions has a lot to do with the internal party structure, understanding that China's fully and wholly dependent on other countries' economies to keep it afloat for manufacturing, but can't admit it to its own people.
No, can't admit that.
Has to say, we are fully self-reliant, we don't need this other stuff, but then it has to make capitulation.
I always found this very weird. There's such a big dissonance between reality and what the Chinese government tells the people and what people discuss in China. Having lived in China for so long, especially the kind of circles I used to hang out in. So I'd meet a lot of people that are interested in or involved in exporting, manufacturing, Amazon sellers. I remember I once had to go give a talk at this big expo. In fact, I went there 3 times. And there was this big expo, which was about like cross-border business and all that kind of stuff. And I remember sitting there while people were basically going up and giving seminars on how to game Amazon, game the system, because Chinese suppliers, it's so easy for them to put out fake reviews, and it's so easy for them to connect directly with the factories and undermine like actual legitimate Amazon sellers overseas.
Most of Amazon's runs like that.
Yeah, I think now over 50-60% of all Amazon sellers are coming out of China.
Yeah.
Because what they do is, like in these seminars, they would say, okay, you find a product that's selling well, and it's usually like someone's come up with an idea and they're OEMing it in China. So they always use a Bluetooth speaker as an example. Someone's selling a very successful Bluetooth speaker. That's selling well. So what you do is you go directly to the factory that's making them here in China, and you get them to make the exact same thing, and you sell it for them at an undercut rate, so that you can go into the Amazon market and sell, instead of it being called like blue ear, it's called like blau ear or something. Change it slightly, but it's the exact same product, and you sell it at half the price, and then you cut him out of the market, and you actually become the legitimate seller for that thing on Amazon. So this stuff was going on forever, but at the same time, the people that are organizing these events and everything are also going on about how China is so self-reliant and China's managed to grow so quickly by itself, Meanwhile, they're reliant entirely on selling things overseas and cross-border trade and stuff. It's a weird thing going on. There's a lot of mental gymnastics there,
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, so that's down. This the demand, which of course is not something the Chinese government is telling people.
No.
In fact, they're telling them the opposite.
Yeah.
And are we going to get into that now? Or move
well,
on?
I just want to mention I saw some state media shills like the pro CCP, the Americans, Canadians and stuff, talking about how trade between the U.S. and China has never been better, and it's just going to get better and better and better, and there's no problems involved.
And it increased dramatically during zero COVID.
And it's just wild because in the same breath they'll say this the chip ban, like that the U.S. instituted, and the restrictions that they placed on China are going to be fruitless and powerless, and China's
and hurt America more than China.
But then in the same breath, it's not the same breath. In a different video or another piece, it'll be how those chip restrictions and trade restrictions and all this stuff is bad for the relations, and don't do that. That's really bad because then both parties will lose and stuff like this.
And we have to work together.
It shows you just have to look at what they're saying and then picture the opposite.
Absolutely.
It's been devastating.
So yeah, the truth of the matter is the demand's down. It's bad for the Chinese economy, and a lot of it, in fact, all of it has to do with zero COVID.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, because the restrictions and the mess ups in the supply chain and all that.
Yeah.
Now we have to move on to this absolute craziness that's going on. You see, the Chinese government, even a few weeks ago, Xi Jinping, just a few weeks ago, Xi Jinping was saying, you know what? This zero COVID thing of ours is unshakable. He actually used the words unshakable. Cannot be changed. We know what we're doing. We've beat it. We're better than the rest of the world. We're setting an example to the rest of the world. You cannot change it. And of course, they always had all these excuses as to why. Constantly saying, look how many people die in the USA. Look how many people are dying in other countries. But look, we have such a low death rate. That's because they didn't report their deaths, okay? There's lots of evidence for this. And people, when they were dying of COVID, would not be labeled as being died from COVID. They'd be labeled as, died from pneumonia or something like that, right? So they didn't go on record as dying. And of course, when there were a large amount of people dying of COVID, it was hushed up and other reasons were made up, okay? So we never got proper statistics. We'll never know how many people actually died. But we do know on various different levels, local levels, higher levels, we know that there were a lot of deaths, all right, that were covered up. And lots of people admitting to that.
Right.
Anyway, let's take a look at what the Great Translation Movement has for us over here. Maybe you can explain this.
So this is a weird, bizarre translation, but basically it says that COVID-19 Omicron variant doesn't exist. Omicron COVID-19 would kill a lot of Americans. Would be bad for Americans.
And that was a couple of months ago, right?
That was 07.
The 7th.
So July.
Yeah.
So what they're implying was that if America doesn't do lockdowns and stuff, then Omicron's going to wipe everyone out or hurt everyone or make everyone sick. Then, what is this from a few days ago, last week? It says there is no evidence supporting the existence of Omicron. And there's a reason. Do you know why?
Why?
There are medical experts in China that are claiming that it shouldn't be called COVID anymore because in line with the whole 180 reversal of zero COVID policy, they waited until you guys got to understand, they waited until it became like a non-issue and then kept zero COVID going.
Yes.
So while Omicron wasn't that deadly and everyone's like, what are you doing? It's been years now. What are you doing?
Yeah, it should be called the Xi variant, by the way.
Right, it should.
It should.
So while everyone's like, what are you doing? Why have we not moved on? They're like, no, it's still deadly. You're going to get ravaged. You're going to get killed, blah, 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 blah. And they're telling their citizens, the whole rest of the world's dying.
Yeah,
right?
It's terrible. Everyone, that's the thing. People in China that we're in contact with are constantly like, what's going on with you guys? We're hearing all these horror stories about how it's so unsafe. People are dying left and right. All your ICUs are completely crowded, all this crap. Because they keep getting told this. Yeah. And it's been only in the very beginning of COVID, when the first strain was so strong and people were dying, that was the case. Yeah. All right? Yeah. And there were restrictions in place for a good couple of months where you couldn't go to restaurants and stuff. But it's been like before the pandemic for the longest time now.
Yes.
That I can't even remember when it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So their idea for these scientists was to change the name from COVID to like some sort of flu variant, right?
Right.
Because that was part of the propaganda that was allowed to spread on WeChat and stuff was that we've discovered that it's not COVID anymore and it's not dangerous anymore. So now we can open up. That was their excuse to say, you're lucky that we locked you down for 3 years.
Yeah.
Because we waited until it's fine and now we said it's fine.
Sure.
And now you're lucky that you didn't die.
And for those of you wondering about like what they've changed, what they're allowing in China, that's going to be in our main segment. We've got all the 10, they've got these sort of 10 steps that they're busy implementing in China or supposed to be implementing.
Yes.
We're going to go through all of that and we're going to tell you which part of that is true, which part of that is a little embellished.
I screwed up my notes. I have the opposite thing because I have 2 screenshots of the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Post-acute sequela, I'm reading in Chinese here.
Sorry.
That means long COVID.
Yeah, long COVID.
That's what I meant to
say.
So
they were
I didn't
saying
mean
like
to say Omicron. I meant to say long COVID. Long COVID would damage America's health, so you shouldn't open up. But America did, and now everyone's going to die of long COVID or have brain fog, right? Yeah. Number 2 says it doesn't exist. So long COVID doesn't exist.
This was the long COVID thing. Because, I remember that just a week or two ago, we saw this. There was a huge push. Just before the protests and during the protests, okay? The people that are just the propagandists for the Chinese government and the Chinese government itself was like, you know what? Everyone's really pissed off about zero COVID. They want it to end, but we have to have a reason to keep them locked up. Right. And our reason is, America seems fine. People seem like they're okay at the World Cup. It looks all okay, but guess what? They're all going to suffer from long COVID and they're going to suffer from all these stupid, side effects and stuff. So we're not opening because, they're going to die. You'll be okay. But now they're saying, there's no evidence it exists, long COVID, It's ridiculous. I know which one you're talking about. This one.
Yes, here we go. Omicron. See, I was mixing it up. Omicron is, I have my notes here.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, guys. Also, we are just getting over being sick.
Yeah.
And it's not been pleasant.
Mm-hmm. It's weird because, last weekend was a complete disaster.
Oh my gosh.
I was knocked out for 2 days straight.
I don't even remember it.
Monday I was kind of okay, but it's just been kind of okay. Yeah. Maybe I got long COVID.
So yeah.
I got long cold.
I'm effed. It's bad. Yeah. Whatever it is, it's really bad.
It's not COVID though. We did the home tests.
Yeah, whatever.
It doesn't matter. It's a cold. It's a flu. Our kids got it at school. We got it. everyone's been sick. My kid's over it now, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so am I for the most part, but still a bit foggy.
I'm still not doing well. Anyway, doesn't matter.
You'll survive.
Yes, pardon me if I'm a little foggy. Omicron is just a big flu, a misperception. Some in the West attempt to delude Chinese public. So this is from Global Times.
April 10th.
What they're saying is that the U.S. is trying to delude the Chinese public, right?
Yeah.
Trying to trick them to say that Omicron isn't bad, right?
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Again, those pesky foreigners trying to convince you Chinese people, because apparently Chinese people are not very good at making up their own minds according to the state.
Yeah.
They can't have their own opinion. They're told what to think.
No.
So if foreigners come along and say, Omicron's not that bad, this, Omicron's not that bad, well, then they're going to believe them, right?
Sure.
So they're like, no, they're just trying to convince you. But then the same newspaper, which is the Global Times, which is the state media, it's a mouthpiece for the Communist Party of China.
State media. Chinese state media.
Yeah. Published December 9th. So, that's today.
Oh, today. I'm sorry. This is fresh.
Yeah. Says Omicron is not scary, as 99% of those infected can fully recover in 7 to 10 days.
So they went from saying, don't delude us Chinese people, in saying that Omicron isn't scary, to Omicron is not scary. And this is state doctrine, right? I'm going to get into some wild stuff later, but I want you guys to know that China's gone from saying that if you say that COVID isn't dangerous, if you say these lockdowns are unnecessary, then you are arrested for picking quarrels and starting rumors, right?
Yes.
Now, if you say that we need zero COVID and we need lockdowns and it's bad to open up, you get arrested for starting rumors and picking quarrels.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking.
There's no winning. It's just, they flip-flop. That's why we say it's 180 degrees.
It's a real 180.
It really is. It's absolutely insane, okay, what's going on.
It blindsided me. It's wild. But
Anyway.
we have reasons why.
Yeah.
And it's because the state is very fragile right now.
Yeah. Okay, now, guys, before we continue, I know most of you who watch our show, that you realize that we've had a long history in China, and we've explored China by motorcycle. Actually, that we built the motorcycles ourselves. We used to have a motorcycle company in China. And we released 2 documentaries, and I'd like to say that this was like the best part of when we stayed in China. We released the best that we saw in these
I think
2
it's one of the
documentaries.
best pieces of film on China about Chinese travel.
You know what? And we don't want to sound like we're tooting our own horn here, but it is probably the only independent.
Yeah, because we found like even the big companies like BBC and stuff, who we respect, still didn't do things very...
Well, you have to understand this,
I
okay?
don't know how to say.
Well, if you're a big company like the BBC, you're going to shoot a documentary in China. You have to get permission to do it.
Yeah.
You have to get filming permissions.
Yeah.
You have to get licenses.
Yeah.
You have to. So when you go to film somewhere, the government knows you're going there.
Yeah.
They set everything up for you. They make sure you follow the rules. And we were just pikey YouTubers, and we thought, you know what? We're just going to go do it. We did not get permission. We did not have journalist visas. We did not have any of this stuff.
We just showed up.
We just went, and we didn't have any government minders. Nobody following us.
Wow.
Well, we got into a lot of trouble because of this in Inner Mongolia. We got into a lot of trouble because you're not just supposed to film in China. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though we kind of tried to figure out a way to make it as legal as possible, we weren't legal. Okay, the guys who were filming us, they worked for state media, as in they did like freelance photography.
They went freelance
filming.
with us.
Yeah, but then when we went to go and do it, they're not they didn't have permission or any state.
It was very quasi.
Yeah, it was
gray area.
So what we can say is that if you ever want to see a documentary about China, like unbiased by the media, and just about us exploring and talking to people and trying out foods and seeing the beautiful scenery in China, and we like to say that China that Xi Jinping had not ruined yet.
Yeah.
Before the pandemic and all this, we shot 2 documentaries. Now the 5-year anniversary of our first documentary, which we shot.
Yeah.
Okay, and we've got a special collection box set that's currently It's actually on Vimeo, and it's cheap. It's $10 or $11, $10.99.
Yeah. $10.99. You get both, and I don't want to separate them. It's Conquering Southern China, Conquering Northern China. It's one series. It's just one. Think of it as one series.
Yeah, you get to see both of our documentaries as
Go to the
one.
next slide so you can.
But there's something special for those of you who have seen it before. There is something very
Yeah,
special.
there's a reason to buy it. So it's half price, and
Yeah.
you get all 8 episodes, right?
Okay, but here's the thing. We got our producer. We still have all the footage. You know, we shot so much. We filmed a behind the scenes interview. So it's not like stupid bloopers. Ooh, I tripped over a piece of cow shit or something. It's kind of like, hey, we sat down right at the end when we just finished. So we're still on the trip. We sat down in our hotel, and we recorded basically a recap.
Yeah, after all the bad shit happened.
Now that might sound boring, but there's something in there that's very, very, very special.
Yes.
And that is our encounter with the North Koreans, which we couldn't
unaired.
show. We couldn't show this in the main. I mean, and still in the interview, we had to blur their faces out for their safety. But there's a whole scene and a part of the show which had to be cut out, and we explain it in the behind the scenes. So there's a behind the scenes.
The behind the scenes is not just that though. There's other clips in there that were in the show.
Yeah.
It's a great like extra.
It's a 1 hour.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
over an hour.
It's not like one of the, you buy a DVD, it's like
Yeah,
bonus features, and it's like a sketch gallery or something.
no,
You're
no,
like,
no, no.
Psh, whatever.
It's a full on thing.
It's an hour long discussion with all B-roll and the whole thing. So it's something that none of you would have ever seen before. We hadn't even seen it before, because we had to convince our producer to actually put it together for us.
Yep.
For the specific special deal. So it's there. So for those of you who want to see, honestly, China in the best light possible,
Yep.
the adventures and the craziness and the people and the culture and all of that, the ups and downs along the way of our massive journey, which is through the entire southern China and the entire northern China too.
Yep.
It's now, you can go and watch it, and if you go to Vimeo, the link is in the description. It's $11.
Not Vimeo, it's Vimeo on demand.
Yeah, sorry,
Totally
Vimeo.
different website.
Vimeo on demand. It's the same name though. Like
Yeah, but if you go to Vimeo, you're not going to find
no,
shit.
sure.
So,
VimeoOnDemand.com/, what is it?
it's on there. I did everything.
Oh, you did it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry. It's coming up. You'll be able to see it. You can download it. You can keep it forever.
It's vimeo.com/on-demand/conquering China box set. So think about it. It's half price. You get both series. So it's the whole series plus the behind the scenes thing. Not like, this is how we shot this shot. Not bullshit
no,
like
no.
that. It's really interesting shit explaining some of the bullshit we had to go through.
And-
right after it happened.
Yeah.
This isn't like years later. Hey, remember that part? It's like breakdown.
Yeah.
Holy shit, we almost died. Holy shit, we almost got disappeared and went to jail. And that was filmed really soon after the whole escapade through Inner Mongolia.
Yeah.
So a lot of the hectic shit. But also, it's not just the North Korea stuff. There's other scenes in this that our
there's-
producer put in there that were
That
in
you
the
wouldn't have
show.
seen, yeah.
So go there. Just play some of the trailers where we talk about
Oh,
what
yeah, that's
happened.
true.
This is what you'll get.
No, I mean, look, I know it sounds like we're trying to give you a sales pitch here,
Well, it's our own stuff.
but it is honestly one of the things we're most proud of is these documentaries that we shot. And we do think it shows China in its best light. And, here on the China show, we're constantly covering the negative things coming out of China because that's China these days, okay? Under Xi Jinping, the good, the positive progress that we saw during our time in China has been in full reverse, and it's become incredibly sinister.
Yeah, I mean, like,
know?
this is... I mean, everyone's still going to be nice and stuff, but the nationalism and xenophobia has been pumped by the state to such an extent that you can't do what we did.
No.
You just can't do what we did anymore. You can't show up at a place and just get away with kind of like sneaking in, hanging out with people, hearing their stories, having a good time. Now it will all be curated by the state. If you see any media come out of China, it is from the state.
Yeah.
This is not.
Yeah, we managed to avoid all of that. And we didn't have CGTN or
Nope.
CCTV or any
Nope.
of these government companies or the government-run media didn't take us anywhere.
You know what I see happening now, by the way?
What?
I see state media right now trying to emulate a lot of experiences that we have by bringing their shills to the same places we discovered.
Yes, yeah.
And then trying to do some bullshit state narrative version, which looks like shit. It's completely, it's sometimes inaccurate and completely inorganic.
Yeah,
this
of
is
course.
real.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like finding that cow shit hot pot. Remember
Yeah,
how...
we ate hot pot made out of cow shit.
Just remember how difficult that was to actually
Procure.
find
Yeah.
because We were supposed to go to some place and then it didn't turn out. We had to just walk around and find one. And remember, this Conquering Southern China was completely self-funded.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
All of it. The second one, Conquering Northern China, which is was a much more epic endeavor because
Conquering Southern China, we did 5,000 kilometers. Conquering Northern China, we did 10,000.
Yeah. Man, remember staying in that weird shack?
Oh, yeah. Like, we stayed in this shack in the middle of Guizhou, no electricity, middle of nowhere. And this guy shows up and he's like, what are you doing in my shack? It was literally like a 3-walled shack.
Yeah.
Because we ran out of places to go.
Yeah. So this is Conquering Northern China. And this
that's a sea penis.
Yeah, remember, we ran a Kickstarter, and of course, I believe that quite a few of the people who participated in the Kickstarter are in our audience right now.
Shout out to you.
And of course, we're very grateful for that. It turned out to be quite the adventure. So this was a much bigger undertaking.
Yeah.
And we shot it all in 4K rather than 1080.
Yeah.
And we had a drone this time around, and it was much bigger in scale.
Yeah, stayed in, basically, we walked into Mongolia there by accident.
Yeah, we did.
That was a blind masseuse. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's
you
it's
have
a
to
big
watch the
thing.
show to see that, but it's wild. This is where we ran into the most like crazy bad shit.
Yeah.
But it's not on there, but it is, some of it's in the behind the scenes, so it's definitely worth a watch.
Oh yeah, I mean it was an incredible adventure, it was an incredible journey. We still have loads of footage and behind the scenes stuff that we have never released, and you'll see through our ADVChina channel and stuff.
That's North Korea, right?
Yeah, that's North Korea over the way, with all the Chinese trucks lined up to come over.
We snuck around. We did some cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the goat.
Yeah, goat being cooked. We actually spoke about this in our latest ADVChina adventure. If you haven't seen it,
so many people are confused. ADVChina still exists, and it's still a channel, and we still post on it all the time.
Yeah, at least once
channel.
or twice a month.
Yeah.
We post some of our old footage and our motorcycle adventure stuff. So if you're craving that sort of thing, we still have it. You know, it's just a separate thing from this show.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to bring this to your attention that we have this box set going. It's kind of like a Christmas thing, you know. We want to get something out there. 5-year anniversary.
I'm going to put it in the
chat?
In the chat right now, because some people are like, where can I get this? They're hyped.
Oh yeah, dude, it's epic. Like, you know, there's so many experiences we had during making these documentaries, and they're proper professional documentaries. It's like, you know, television style documentaries. It's not just like us walking around like, hey guys, you know.
No. This is we stayed in a sex hotel.
Oh, that was ridiculous.
There's a story behind that. You got to watch the show. It's absolutely hilarious. And it has to do with the fact that foreigners aren't allowed to stay in hotels in China.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of hotels.
We've got so many stories to talk about that. So we would love you, our audience, to watch it, because it'll give you some insight as to who we really are.
Yeah.
And it also gives you some insight into why we care so much about China, because we're not like a China watcher news show that's like, oh, well, China bad, or China this, or China great, or China. No, we have a vested interest in China. I lived there for 14 years. You lived there for 10 years. We spent so much of our lives there. We got married to Chinese women. We have half Chinese children, you know. We really invested so much in the country and exploring the country and getting to know the people and learning the language and everything. And that's why we can give you a unique insight into China, is because we know China. We're not sitting here from the outside and like just making predictions based on stocks and trading or something. We were there. And everything we talk about comes from a point of experience, because we've dealt with the Chinese government. We've been at those drinking feastings that they do. We've met lots of people in the way that things work there in the government and also in media and so on. So we know how that all works. That's why we can call it out when we see this ridiculous propaganda, because we've seen it with our own eyes. And you cannot pull the wool over our eyes, because we've been to every part of China and the rural parts and the parts that most people don't get to see. And if you watch those documentaries, you will understand that, because that's just a little glimpse of what we used to do. Because that was our thing, man. We used to explore around China by ourselves before we met each other.
Country.
Yeah. So before we met each other, we used to do it. And then we met each other, and we used to do at least once a year these big epic trips through China, exploring, meeting the locals, trying out the new things and whatever. So we'd love for you to watch it if you haven't already. And if you have seen it already, you're definitely going to see that behind the scenes 1 hour episode. That's now
it's a lot cheaper now. So
it's
I'm
$10.99.
saying for the people that already bought it, don't feel
Yeah.
bad because you're only paying $10.99 and you're getting the whole behind the scenes thing.
Sure. So anyway,
Thank you.
Just wanted
And
to
to
put
go-
that there.
Where do you get it?
Oh, you go to, what was it, Vimeo on demand?
Put it on the screen.
I gotta go scrub through this stuff. Okay.
One more time before we
Yeah,
sign
okay.
off on that.
We don't want no scrubs.
A scrub is a guy that can get no love from me, really.
Yeah, exactly.
What does he do? He hangs out on the passenger side? Was his best
Something
friend's
like
side?
that. But whatever you do, don't go chasing waterfalls.
I won't. Takes you to the rivers in the place it used to.
That's correct. Where is this? Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay, here it is. Here
Don't
it is.
yell at me.
Anyway, yeah. So if you want to grab that, you can get it here, and we'd very much
the link in
appreciate
the chat
it.
is broken. I'm sorry. Here.
Oh, you
No, it's
did.
not. Just the repeats I kept sending.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
You got it
The
now?
pinned one's fine.
Okay.
Go to the pinned one or in the description. Buy it for someone for Christmas. Someone that didn't see it, I promise you'll like it. This isn't just to support us. I think it's a great show.
Yeah.
It's really good. High quality. It's something you'd see on TV. Well, it was. It's a TV show.
It is a TV show. Yeah, and it was on Amazon.
Have you seen
Or
it
The
on-
first one was.
Yeah, and also it's on Blue Ant Media and stuff all over Asia. But if you haven't seen it on there, then go check it out here.
Yeah, and if you like it, there's still one more documentary which you can actually watch for free on my channel. It's my channel ad. It's called Stay Awesome China. One that I did solo with the same producer.
Solo.
Yeah.
Solo.
Yeah. So it's a little different, but it's along the same lines.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, before we continue, we have to say a quick word from our sponsor of this episode. This is starting to feel like quite a long advert, this episode, isn't it?
But it's not because
Of course
it's all worth it. And
Yes.
5 Minute News, our sponsor, is completely free.
Yeah.
So many news networks, but which one to trust? Journalist Anthony Davis of the 5 Minute News podcast provides a trusted voice amongst the noise. Featuring only the 3 most important world news stories of the day, published Monday through Friday, the 5 Minute News podcast fills a forgotten sector of the news industry, true news. Factual, verified, and responsible news gathering without the need for dramatization, embellishment, or theatrics. 5 Minute News cuts through the noise of legacy cable and network television news whilst going deeper than traditional radio news bulletins. 5 Minute News focuses on inequality, health, and climate issues with the goal of making politics relatable. The podcast offers no opinion and no bias, just the facts. 5 Minute News is published early in the morning, so you can listen to it when you have breakfast, and it lets you get on with your day knowing that you're fully informed. Subscribe today to the daily newscast that matters at 5minute.news. That's F-I-V-E minute.news. Thank you.
Excellent. So, guys, it's time for us to hit the main segment of our show, Soft Power Hour, where we talk about how the Chinese government is trying to change your mind through various means and how they try to just brute force change people's minds and perception on reality, which is kind of crazy, which is what we're seeing with the whole zero COVID thing. Now, before we even get into this, I want to...
Can I just say the
What?
chat is absolutely insane right now?
Why?
It's like there's like evangelicals about Chinese Christian like offshoots. There's people talking about how to make gold out of metallurgy from science books.
Okay.
It's like a full-on like crazy weird place right now.
I like that. That's our audience, right?
Anyway. Is it though?
Sure. You never spoke to the Alchemist Guild? Anyway, guys, I've been talking to people that are currently in Beijing and currently in Shanghai. Okay.
Me too.
Now, okay, so I'm going to recount
I
my
got some
stories.
notes.
Yeah,
Let me
you
pull up my notes.
I recount my stories, you recount yours.
I got permission from these people, but I won't say their names.
No, of course. No, that's the last thing we want to do is actually show who they are because, you know, that's not a
That'd be
very
very bad.
polite thing to do. So in Beijing, the guy I'm talking to right now, his wife are in lockdown right now. But in fact, their entire building is in lockdown. And this happened, it's weird. Remember the protests happened?
Yeah.
Okay? And pretty much a day after the protests happened, his entire building went into lockdown. He hasn't been able to leave.
Yeah.
But now he also has COVID. Okay?
Right.
But he's not suffering any symptoms.
Sure. Most people aren't.
Yeah, most people aren't asymptomatic. So now he's got COVID. But now because of the COVID restrictions, he doesn't need to go to a central quarantine camp anymore. He's allowed to quarantine at home, which is something that we're going to see when we talk about the rules. Okay? He's allowed to quarantine at home, and that's great. I think that's fantastic. It's a great thing in the right direction. Okay. It's what? Oh,
Great.
yes, you figured it out. Good. It is great. Anyway, so we'll get into that in a second. The guy that I know who's in Shanghai right now, also in lockdown, okay, also has COVID. This is interesting, by the way, because these are two people. I have other people sending me messages and stuff. What's going on right now is that a lot of the people I'm talking to are in lockdown of some form or the other,
Right.
but the restrictions are not as bad. They don't have to go to a central quarantine camp.
Right.
Okay, so
Which is
that's
huge.
Huge. It's massive because that's been the worry for everybody. Is asymptomatic people. Doesn't matter, you know, you got nothing, no sniffle, no anything, but you test positive at one of those tests, you get bussed off to one of those horrible. Remember we showed you last week they're building, and they're still building, by the way. We'll show you later. They ship you off to one of those horrible shipping container type quarantine facilities. And I mean, we had that situation in Guizhou where a whole busload of these people, only one of them was infected, by the way, but they took the whole lot from the building. The whole bus crashed and killed everyone.
Yeah.
You know, this is nonsense.
Which became
like
part
this.
of the protest, by the way.
Yeah, that was part of the protest, big time. Also, when you go to the quarantine camp, the government comes in and wrecks your apartment, drenches it, just drenches it in like disinfectant,
Dettol or
whatever it is. They kill your pets and all that kind of shit. Throw your crap out the window, whatever. They destroy your house. You come back, everything's ruined. Your books, all the papers like turned into paper mache. Your electronics don't work anymore because they poured like liquid water down the back, you know, basically disinfectant. So it's been a horrible situation. You don't want to get it, is what we're saying. But now, if you're asymptomatic, you can quarantine at home, or you can volunteer to go to a quarantine camp. I wonder how many people are volunteering to do that. Anyway, it's loud.
No, it's fine. It's
fine?
really not bad.
Okay. Anyway, if you have a severe case, I'm pretty sure that you still get taken to quarantine. But this is for people with asymptomatic. Another thing is that the mandatory tests that people had to do, like every 24 hours, every 48 hours or whatever. In Shanghai, I'm still getting people telling me that they still have to do tests.
Yes, just a second.
Yeah.
Mod, please get rid of like Biden Trump shit. There's people are doing like crazy, you know, like deflection stuff.
Yeah, look.
They don't want us talking about this clearly.
We don't talk about Biden or Trump
No,
here.
it's like Wu Mao Bao.
Yeah. In the chat, it's not unnecessary. Okay, go to like freedomdefenders.org or
Yeah, sure.
like I don't know, Queer News or whatever you want to go to, you go to do that. But that's not here. We're talking about China here, guys.
Sure.
Anyway, what happened in Shanghai was when they started talking about easing the restrictions, we saw the opposite. We saw them actually increase the amount of testing you had to do. Like instead of doing it every 72 hours, it had to be every 48 hours. But it looks like that's been cancelled now.
Correct.
So they first ramped it up. Obviously, they realized that was not going to work, and now they've kind of dialed that back. So maybe we should, before we even get into this other TCM nonsense, let's go through what they've changed, so we can actually discuss it. And of course, you have to tell everybody, your guys on the ground, what they're saying. Do you want to do that first or the rules first?
Let's do rules first.
Okay, all right. So there are 10 new things. First, it was 3 things, but then they're in a massive panic right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Can we just tell everybody the mindset of the CCP? You can build on this as well. Let's build on this together. But basically, you have a situation where Xi Jinping went like not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago, saying it's unshakable. Our zero COVID will not end. It was put out there by the government. It's going to be there forever. Xinhua was reporting, you know what? It's indefinite. Basically, it's going to be for a couple of years. Zero COVID is not ending. Absolutely not ending. This is, again, the Chinese government just...
This is what we've been reporting on.
Yeah, this is what
the Chinese
they
government says, we will not waver.
Yeah, that's what they said. Then all of a sudden, things start to get a little out of hand, okay? For the first time in forever,
There'll be COVID, there'll be lockdown.
Yeah, we saw
Tests.
people actually protesting against the CCP. And that has never happened.
Nope.
It's not allowed to happen in China, okay?
If there's one person doing it, it makes news.
Yes.
Like
and then like Bannerman. Well, you remember Bannerman?
Yeah.
He put out those banners protesting against, he said, down with Xi Jinping.
Yeah.
And it was like, Holy shit, the censorship thing went in there. They took him away.
People
Everything
are like,
was
oh,
scrubbed.
what could one person do?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it was the inspiration of tens of thousands.
Yeah. All of a sudden, you started to see these protests erupt all over. And it wasn't just protests saying, hey, look, we want the end of zero COVID.
Yeah.
It's not just protests saying like, oh, you know what, we're just kind of sick and tired of people dying or being imprisoned or whatever. It was like down with the CCP, down with Xi Jinping.
Down with the sickness, really.
Yeah, exactly. Down with the sickness. So the Chinese government's like, holy shit, what do we do? Okay. We've never had to deal with this before. This is the first time in forever that
There'll be protests
against us, you know? So they've been stuck. Forgive us, you know, we got daughters. They have to watch Disney all the time, you know?
Yeah,
Frozen is like
sure.
a cult here.
Jeez.
It really is.
A lot of Frozens. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway,
What's
okay.
making you so nervous about that? You thinking about Elsa?
No.
You thinking about a little Elsa and Anna?
No, that's not
okay.
me. I'm more of a Little Mermaid kind of a guy.
Do you remember the Spider-Man Elsa
Oh,
ad
dude,
on
let's
YouTube? It was
please.
like a hack.
Yeah, please.
It was literally
no,
like a YouTube
no,
hack.
let's just not even get into that.
was
So,
a while
yeah, it
ago.
was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the CCP's like, what the hell can we do? So then they're like, okay, shut down the protests, shut down the
Shut them all down.
Yeah, exactly. But then, like, that's not working too well,
Yeah,
okay? People are fighting back. You got that whole Foxconn
Yeah.
thing erupting, and it was because of zero COVID. It's
Yeah.
not a wage dispute, people. That wage dispute would not exist if it wasn't
No.
for zero
No.
COVID. Zero COVID is what made the people leave because they were being trapped. And they walked for like days on the highway to get away from it, right?
Yes,
And now
yes.
they had a shortage of people because of zero COVID. So then they try to hire people. People come in, and then there was a mix-up with a glitch with their system, apparently. And now people are mad about wages. But it's all because of zero COVID. Okay, so zero COVID messed that up. And that's like Apple is getting like screwed. And the Chinese government, okay, now Apple's getting screwed. They're going to lose 40% of their iPhone production or whatever. This is not good. This is not good for us, okay? This is really
I'm
not
sorry,
good.
I just got freaking Frozen songs rolling through my head.
Okay, good
Like,
for
you want to
you.
build a snowman. Let's have fun with no man. Remember that?
Do you want to build a straw man? Yeah. Anyway,
okay, yeah.
so the fact of the matter is, it's going crazy. The CCP's like, what the hell can we do to stop this before it gets out of control?
Yes.
Okay? Remember they said, it's unshakable. We will not stop the zero COVID. Now they're like, you know what? You know how we just say things and we never mean it?
Yeah.
Let's, like,
You know what's a constant here, I can say?
yeah,
Is that everything that the Chinese government does and says is different.
exactly. They say one thing.
It doesn't even matter if it's something innocuous or
Yeah.
a big policy. It's always the opposite.
Green technology. Oh, we're going to work
Yes.
towards protecting the environment. Let's build more coal plants.
Yes.
Let's destroy the environment more, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
That kind of shit. So now they're like, okay, we're going to have to like just nip this in the bud. We have to stop the zero COVID because
They're terrified. This
Mm, they
is the
are.
first party shaking event.
Yes.
These protests. And we'll get into what's happened to these people, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, honestly, Western media has effed this up so bad.
Yeah.
By
Pro-
acting
protesters
like
are
the protests
getting
worked.
arrested left and right. The people that participated.
Yeah.
It's
Mass.
yeah,
En masse.
yeah, en masse. We'll show you later. We've got
Yeah.
evidence of that.
But anyway, my point is,
Mm-hmm.
this is these rules or whatever is showing the fragility of the state.
Yes. So these are the rules they came out with. At first it was 3 rules, and remember they started to increase lockdowns in certain
Yes,
areas.
yes.
And then like people were like, F that, you know?
yeah.
And then they're like, wait a second, we'll roll those back a little bit. Let's do these 10. So these are the 10. Now this is from the Chinese government, okay? So it's official. The first thing is, be precise in categorizing high-risk areas, limiting them to residential units or blocks, and refraining from extending them at will to an entire housing compound, neighborhood, or street. It's important to unpack this because what's been happening previously to many people we know, whether they be in Shenzhen or Shanghai or Beijing or somewhere in between, is if somebody like in the neighborhood tests not even positive, just happens to get a yellow code because they went into an area near someone else, or they came in from outside, or something like that, they lock down the whole neighborhood. Okay, and you've seen this, right? You've seen they put barriers around.
Yeah.
So it's not just like one building. It'll be like 10, 20 buildings, an entire urban village or something. They lock everybody down.
Yeah.
Okay, just because of a slight possibility that someone might have had an infection. And this is very inconvenient because it inconveniences tons of people. So now what they're saying is don't just like at will randomly like lock down whole big areas. Now, if there's an infection in that building, lock down that one building or lock down the floor of that building perhaps. Or, lock down just that little thing, And that's a big thing because there's been so much collateral damage because of this, like, let's lock down whole areas.
Yeah.
And whole cities sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah. That's an important one. Let's see number 2. Okay. Reduce mass testing frequency and further minimize its scale. Negative tests or green health code on contact tracing smartphone apps will no longer be required to access most public areas, excluding hospitals, senior homes, kindergartens. On-arrival testing and checking of health codes will end for domestic travel. This is huge.
Yeah.
You know that this mass testing shit, we've been showing it to you for months now, for years now, actually, where you just see these ridiculous lines of people lining up in the cold, in the snow, in the sun, in the rain, and they all have to get tested before you can go anywhere, any public place, okay? Now you don't have to do that anymore. This is fantastic news. This is probably the biggest news for everyone in China because this has been the most horrible, invasive, absolute BS thing to put up with, because not only do you have to go crowd with other people and increase your risk of getting the COVID in the first place, it's horrible and invasive. They shove a Q-tip up your nose or deep down in your throat, and you have to get this done maybe twice a day, maybe 3 times a week, whatever. It's still a huge thing. And then you have to stand in a queue for hours sometimes.
The snow.
Yeah, it's just awful. Like,
uphill both ways.
Yeah, it's really, really shitty, dude, to be able to have to go anywhere. If you want to go into a supermarket or whatever, anywhere in public, go to a park, you have to first go and stand in a queue. And you have to have an up-to-date test. It's ridiculous, right? So they're cutting that down. And also the domestic travel thing is huge. Because, and here's a dumb thing. Say you get on a train. Okay. Everybody who's getting on that train gets tested before you get on the train. You have to have your green health code before you get on the train, right? Mm-hmm. That's a must. You cannot get onto the train without it. But then as soon as you arrive, you have to get tested again. Where's the logic in that? Okay? Where did they go? Did they somehow climb out of the train and open their mouth out the window and catch COVID?
No, they did, because that's how the understanding of viruses in China works. That's why they test bus tires.
Yeah.
That's why they test bricks, and that's why they spray shit into the air.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. The thing is, this is going to allow for an explosion in domestic travel because for years now, people have not been able to travel. It's so inconvenient.
Yeah.
You wouldn't imagine, you just want to pop to the next state over, but you know that if you go there, you're going to have to first get a test here, make sure your code's green. As soon as you get into that next state, you have to stop and you have to go line up and you have to get tested again.
If we want to go a little north to New York, and we have to wait.
Yeah,
the entire
and then
time.
you still have to quarantine in a hotel or something for a couple of days before you can actually go explore your tourist site. It just killed the whole domestic tourism industry. And it just destroyed traveling in China for everyone. It's awful. That's why a lot of the shills left.
Yeah.
In fact, that's the main reason.
Yeah, it was too oppressive.
The main reason these horrible propagandists, foreigners that work for the Chinese government left, the majority of them left is because they couldn't handle not being able to travel around anymore.
It was horrible.
And
just life being shit.
Yeah, of course.
From zero COVID.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess they got sick of living a lie, but they still continue it overseas. But
hey, we don't want to lose too many viewers, by the way.
Yeah.
So let's rip through these
okay,
rules.
I got you.
A bit dry.
Okay, sorry, it's dry, but you can drink it.
It's not you. I'm saying these rules are dry.
But okay, these rules are dry.
Let's rip through.
Okay, number 3, asymptomatic and mild COVID cases who satisfy quarantine conditions, and this is important, can stay at home voluntarily or go to a centralized quarantine facility for 7 days. Close contact can quarantine at home for 5 days. Okay, so this, like we said earlier, you can quarantine at home. But if you have symptoms, if you're not mild, you're probably still going to be bussed off to one of those quarantine camps. Probably why they're still building them. Next, lockdowns in high-risk areas will be lifted if there are no new cases for 5 consecutive days. This is big because lockdowns would last for bloody ever.
Months.
Yeah, and so now it's 5 days. As long as no one else gets one, we can open up. Ensure the availability of medicine for the public. Pharmacies cannot close at will, and no purchase limits for medicine will be allowed.
That's going to
That's
cause
bad.
a disaster.
That's bad. If anyone knows anything about China, those grab hag daigos, they're going to run in there and one person will buy all of them.
There's about to be a very big gray market grab hag economy.
They're going to empty the shelves of medicine. One person will buy the whole shop out and then sell it at double the price.
Yes, like ticket scalpers.
Yeah, pretty much, Anyway, number 6, accelerate vaccination for the elderly, establish green lanes and mobile vaccination spots, improve publicity, and consider incentives to promote vaccine usage.
So I just have something to say about this. China's had a terrible, people talk about, America, anti-vaxxers and all this shit. China's vaccination rate amongst the elderly is much worse than America.
Yeah, the elderly. Young people all kind of jumped on board with it. Yeah.
But the vaccine sucks, right? This is Sinovac. This is the Chinese vaccine. It was awful.
It's ineffective.
The real mRNA vaccines have been offered to Xi Jinping and the CCP multiple times now, and he turns it down. He cares nothing about Chinese people.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about their lives. He cares about his face and the face of the party, and this has been proven time and time again. So they're trying to do all this promotion and PR stuff for this vaccine that doesn't do much, right? It's just so ineffective compared to the actual vaccines we have in the West, right?
Yeah.
So,
and that's true. You can look at studies.
There's no need.
It's rubbish. It's basically saline solution
at this point, for sure. You have to have tons of doses and stuff, and it was for the original strains of
There's
COVID.
Nothing against Omicron.
It does little. Anyway, long story short, they're trying to get people to do it, and that's the thing. This has never been about COVID. They don't care about their elderly populace. They don't care about people getting vaccinated because they could have forced them to do it in the beginning.
They could have. If you can force children to be taken away from their parents to go into quarantine,
people to get a vaccine,
and if you can force people to be imprisoned in a house for months on end, you can force somebody to take a vaccine.
Now, there's been massive issues with vaccines. I have reports from people
go for
whose vaccine record, I won't read it directly just in case they can be traced. It's on WeChat. So their vaccine record has been erased. Why? There is an epidemic in certain areas in eastern China of the vaccines being reported as fake.
Yeah.
So not only are they getting the less effective Chinese vaccine, it was fake. So they're getting their vaccine records removed.
Yeah, because they were given fake vaccines.
And we knew this was going to happen. I mean, this is just the cases that have been kind of internally reported. And they're like, we're not going to say anything about it.
Yeah.
And then someone from the company or someone from the CDC will be like, hey, did you get the vaccine here? This is fake. And they just silently remove everyone's code.
Yeah.
So huge problem with that.
Yeah.
Huge problem with that. Let's rip through these.
Okay, number 7, enhance the monitoring of populations still at risk of COVID.
What does that mean? Enhance!
It means, more dystopian lockdowns. Guys, one thing that you cannot forget is that the whole QR code, who's infected, who's not, where everybody is, that's not gone away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not initially, but this is what it's all about for the CCP, is to have control. So, they say you can quarantine at home or whatever. That's because your QR code's red. Okay? It's got to the point now where they can still track everyone now. Now they know everyone, like everything. They got all your biometrics. They know exactly everything about you, where you are, what you're doing. They've got the control mechanism. If they want to make you infected, they still can. Yeah. Through that thing.
Yeah, so, that's what this is actually about. That's why I said let's rip through these, because what this actually means is that it's done. The Chinese government never cared about people getting COVID as long as people didn't talk about it. Because the whole zero COVID thing was to institute a technological surveillance state, and this sounds crazy and weird tinfoil, but in China it's real.
Yeah.
This QR code system that they've set up, this people tracking, contact tracing, and this location service app. Yeah. That they have on every single person's phone, and it's mandated for use everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Is how you control an entire population of 1.4 billion people, and that's what this was about.
Yeah.
It's done. It already happened.
Remember, we just read in one of the previous rules that they say you don't need the green code to go into most public places now, but you still need it to go to hospitals, to go to schools.
It still exists. If they said you can delete the app now, we will wipe all of your data. That's not what they said.
No. You still need it. It's not going away.
It's part of your phone. It's part of your life.
It's part of your life. So if you need to go to the hospital, guess what? You need to show your green QR code. You have to go get tested.
I think the most important thing is to also say that this can be turned on at any time, too.
Yeah.
This hasn't been deleted.
by the way, the testing, you still have to go get it, but now you have to pay for it.
Yeah, it's for pay. So
We'll show you some footage of that. Let's just quickly rip through. 8, the normal operations of key societal services, low-risk areas are not allowed to control movement or suspend any services. Work or production. Public workers must promptly address the population's basic living needs, whatever. That's just some fluff. 9.
All this is
Now,
fluff.
this is like a big,
Yeah.
you could tell when they're just reacting to the mistakes they made. Number 9, forbid the blockage of emergency exits or apartment entrances. Escape routes must stay open in the event of medical emergencies or hazards. Why is this only being addressed now?
This has been a problem before COVID.
Yeah.
This has been a massive problem when I was in China.
Yeah, dude, like the fire escapes would be locked.
Yes. And the windows there's metal bars welded onto them.
Okay, so for anyone who ever had any doubt that this was a problem, you know, lots of people are like, oh no, they'd never block the emergency exits. Of course they did. And now one of their new steps for changing zero COVID is to make sure that emergency exits aren't blocked anymore.
Yeah.
Because people were being, and you've seen the footage of people being welded in, wired in, shut in, blocked into their buildings.
Yep.
That's so that people cannot escape.
Yeah.
Okay. And if a fire escape was open, people would have escaped. So they block those too. They weld them too. You know what I mean?
You know what they should have put on there is make sure that all the fire hydrants aren't fake.
Yeah. But hey, this is a big important thing. That number 9 there, forbid the blockage of emergency exits.
Like it will be enacted.
No, of course, but it just shows you that they were blocking apartments' emergency exits. The Chinese government was doing it, and now they're finally enacting something to say don't.
They're not acknowledging that happened.
No, but they're like, don't do it anymore. It was
no,
okay.
it's not even anymore. It's just don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Don't
you
do
know,
that.
like, I mean, we told you could do it before. Now, now just please back off on that. We're getting too much bad press.
Yeah.
Number 10, improve pandemic control measures on school campuses. Schools without COVID cases must carry out offline learning and keep shared spaces, blah, blah, blah.
So they have to do
That's another thing, by the way. Every single person that I've spoken to in China right now who has children, all of their schools are canceled. They're all doing online classes at the moment.
Until like next week or something.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know anyone whose kid's in school right now.
But their kids have been out of school for years.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it is. It's weird to think, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So those are the 10 new things that the Chinese government has now enacted. Okay? And we're seeing footage of people leaving quarantine camps.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're also seeing footage of people still in quarantine camps. So this is where it's hard to make a call.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's happening. There is a 180 on zero COVID. They're basically making it so zero COVID is not a thing. They're trying to make that a thing. That is a government policy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the reality on the ground is that it's a cluster F. It's effed up. It's crazy and it's a mess.
It's like broken telephone. That's
It's
how
like
it works
broken
in China.
telephone. Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, we're supposed to enact this stuff. Wait a minute, we're not allowed to enact it anymore. That's what's happening. You see this duality in all this footage we'll show you.
Now, what you see here on the right, there is a person holding up a sign there with a QR code, and this is if you want to get tested. Now, you see, some people need these tests in order to go to work.
Yes.
If you work in like a government building or something, you're going to need a green QR code still to get in there. If you need to go to a hospital or whatever, and it's telling you how much is it, like 12.5 RMB or something?
It's like $2.
Yeah. So you need to pay for them now. Previously, you would get a free COVID test. Well, I say free, you got a forced COVID test.
Yeah, forced.
Previously, you were
forced COVID test.
You were forced to.
You had a guy smoking without a mask on, sneezing on your test.
Exactly, but now it's kind of a utility thing. Like you need that code to go to the hospital because now you still need that. By the way,
you know what this is?
What?
This is, the government had state funding given to all the forced COVID things, which created an artificial economy, which eventually became 1.8% of the GDP.
Yes,
and
ridiculous.
this is a way where they can't do that anymore, but they can still profit from it.
They can still make money. Yeah, they can still make money. So now
or earn some back.
Yeah, earn some money back. Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing: if you need to have that green QR code, now you have to pay for your tests. Yeah, because the tests still need to be like within. It has to be recent, like within the last 24 hours or something. You need to have tested negative before you can go into a hospital. So you go pay a place, they test it for you, and then you can go to the hospital afterwards. Yeah. So it's an extra step, and it just shows you that they haven't gotten rid of this whole system. It's just changing as it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you pay now.
Shout out to all the bots in the chat, by the way. It looks like the CCP loves this coverage.
Exactly.
You guys realize, CCP, I just want to do a message. You guys realize that the bot, like the chat right now is part of the show, but the vast majority of views are going to happen after this is live, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You don't need to change anyone's mind right now.
Yeah. So what we're seeing here are people that are waiting to be released from quarantine camps, okay? Which is good news for everybody there, you know? Fantastic. Finally being let out of prison.
Yep.
You know, it's just great. Like, but then at the same time, here we've got. Okay, if you listen to the audio here, you left the audio in, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just listen to it quickly.
12月7日凌晨啊，武汉方舱医院照样如火如荼的进行着啊，老生电力团队依然奋斗在第一线。看一下，依然奋斗在一线。方舱医院给你们看一下，通宵的再见。这就是方。
Audio.
Well, the important part of the audio is he says the date.
Yes.
Okay, because you need to verify this stuff because, you know,
True.
Chinese internet, they'll be like, oh my God, there's a flood happening right now. And then they show you some like horrendous
and it's like
flood
years
footage, but
ago.
it's like from 2012 or
It'll
something.
be like, be careful, don't go outside today. Look at the flooding. And you're like, Winston will be in Shenzhen.
Yeah, and they're like,
Huizhou, and I'm like, are you seeing these
Yeah, because I get all this stuff like Huizhou's flooded and I'm like.
And I take a video outside. I'm like, what?
Nope.
It's not even raining.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
But the guy said Sha'arya Chir, so that means 2 days ago.
Yeah, it was
the
2 days ago.
7th of December. They're still constructing
Makeshift things.
You know,
Pods.
a quarantine facility.
Yeah.
So they're still being built.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
Yeah. 2 days ago, it's still being built. So that also brings into mind now that they're not forcing the central quarantine, but it's what did it say? Volunteer. Like you can choose to do that if you want.
Yeah, it's almost like broken telephone, like you said. I think that's the best way to put it. If you play this while we talk.
Yeah.
It's an entire economy based on these pods and based on zero COVID. When the central government says something like zero COVID isn't going anywhere, zero COVID is here to stay, we must be unrelenting in our zero COVID policy. We will not give up on zero COVID every single day, in every headline, in everything you see, in every news article, blog post, WeChat moments. Everything you hear is that, right?
Yeah.
It makes people say, well, this is a feature of our lives.
Yeah.
This is going to be at contractor companies, government contracts, freaking real estate people, all these people in a business where they're able to get materials.
Yeah,
like
construction
companies. They will put money into that because that's where the money is, right?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden the government goes, woo, 180. We're not doing that anymore.
Sure.
Bye-bye zero COVID. And everyone's like, what?
Yeah.
And you get an example like this.
Oh yeah,
It's a
this is
message.
important. Let's make us smaller here.
This is a message from a company that makes COVID testing robots.
Remember that
Right.
you may have seen the footage where they have looks like a big slab, like a wall in front of you, and you sit there and it like moves the Q-tip in your mouth, and it's actually completely lame. You
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
But yeah, that's what it is, right?
Just a second, I'm just backing up the chat. Some crashed.
Okay.
Some real jank shit going on with this one. They really don't like this episode for some reason. I thought they would like it. We're talking about the end of zero COVID. That's what they keep proclaiming everywhere, right?
You'll find that a lot of people don't like the whole idea of it ending, to be honest.
Yeah, there's definitely a group of people that don't like it.
Oh, there's a ton of people who were just like a week ago saying how it'll never end and it's the stupidest thing ever. and
Yes.
all that, you know, but now it's ending and they're not liking it very much.
Yes. So anyway, just backed up the chat. We're good.
Yeah.
You know, we have a whole company based on robotic COVID testing, and they can't pay their wages, right? There's been 3 months now they can't even pay wages, and the company's what's going to happen to it?
Yeah, if you look at this conversation, it's basically, look, we're having a big issue here. We're running out of money. We're going to go bankrupt. And the guy's like, what are you talking about? How can you not be making money during this zero COVID? Because, you know, the company's deals in testing. Right. How can you not be? And they're like, because we just built all these robots that aren't going to be used.
Right. So think about it.
Yeah.
That's one little sliver of how this economy's working, right?
Yeah.
It's bad. It's real bad. Because again, this is duality. We have all these contracts, we have all these things that we're building for this zero COVID economy, and now it probably won't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You have also people getting sick, right? Now it's not what the government said, like you're gonna die and you're gonna, languish in the depths of hell because COVID's so bad. It's people that have mild symptoms that have been scared so much that they want to go see the doctor now.
Yeah.
These are the lines outside the hospitals.
There's another thing that's quite interesting is that, I told you the people I'm talking to, quite a lot of them have COVID now.
Yeah, tons.
Asymptomatic.
Tons, yeah.
Yeah. But we're not seeing the numbers, like the reported numbers of infections go up in China at all.
Nope.
And the thing is, the people that have COVID, it's going into the system.
Yeah.
They're quarantining at home.
Yep.
They've got their red QR codes.
Yep. But it's not being attributed to the...
It's not being added. So, that's another thing that's kind of interesting is why aren't we seeing a massive explosion in the number of infections being reported? Because it's happening.
Yeah.
People are getting infected.
Yep.
It's mild. Nobody I've spoken to, by the way, has been like really badly sick or have any,
It's also state mandated to say that it's not bad at all. It's not even COVID, according to the Chinese government.
It's just like a bad flu.
Yeah.
So this is a lineup for people to get into the hospital. But
Beijing,
yeah, in Beijing. I got to tell you, though, like even before COVID, going to hospitals in China is quite a trip.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's almost
so
like
bad.
it's a social thing, especially for old people. It's almost like people enjoy going to the
Those
hospital.
are more clinics, but yeah.
But clinics,
sure,
right? Because, I used to train doctors.
Pause that.
Yeah, I'll pause that. That was what I did in China, is I used to go and train doctors. So because I was doing this, I would be going to all the different clinics and all the different hospitals around the city of Shenzhen and in the outlying cities. I'd go into Dongguan and other places too, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Every time I'd go there, it would always be packed.
Yeah.
And it's literally like old people queuing up. To get into the parking was always a nightmare.
Yeah.
To get in there. People queuing up, sitting around, just having a chat, getting their little saline bags.
They love the IV drip.
Yeah.
They got the drip.
They get the IV drips. They're all chatting, doing their thing. And I wouldn't see people that were violently sick. Obviously, they have ER. They have ER. They have
In the
that.
ER,
yes.
I did, yeah.
But I'm just saying, in the clinics and stuff, it's just people go there.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, because it's cheap. It's super cheap. To see a doctor costs like $1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing.
I mean, when I say go see a doctor,
proper treatment's a different story.
Yeah, but if you just want to go see the doctor, and you get what you pay for, because when you sit down, the doctor will take your pulse, literally just with their finger, take your pulse, and they'll be like, "Oh, so what are you feeling?"
Your
and they'll
chi
be
is cold.
and they'll tell you some nonsense and maybe write your prescription. It's not like you go in there and you get big tests done. You can get blood work and stuff done. That happens. But what I'm saying is it's cheap. So when, especially the elderly people, if they're just feeling maybe a little under the weather, they'll go to the hospital. So hospitals are always, and clinics are always packed.
Now I want to cap this off
Yeah.
by saying something very important.
Sure.
Not what's in the background, because that might be confusing people.
Oh yeah. I'll just put this in the background.
Not your fault. Anyway, I forgot to put a divider in there for some reason. Anyway, there is a lot of crazy reasoning as to why this is going around. So I watched a bunch of state media to see how they're justifying this. It's not just those 10 rules. It's
do you want that clip of?
You know what? Don't give her any airtime.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. I'll just say what they're saying.
Okay.
What they're saying is that, number one, they've discovered that it's not COVID anymore. It's the flu.
It's basically, they're like, it's COVID, but it's like the flu.
That was like a swear word in China before.
Yeah.
If you said that was that's Western propaganda. Now that's what they say.
You know what's very interesting is right at the beginning of the outbreak, they were saying that too. Remember all the shills and stuff? They're like, COVID's just like the flu.
Yeah, and then they made those, remember they made all those it's just, remember Dear Wang?
Yeah.
It's just the flu, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And now that's state mandate.
Yeah.
Number two, they're saying that because they've discovered that, they've also discovered many traditional Chinese medicines, TCM, that can cure the symptoms or alleviate the symptoms of the new strain of COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, they're quite literally saying that because of new traditional Chinese medical discoveries that we can open up now.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
And now we're getting reports of people, I think I alluded to this in the beginning, we're getting reports of people getting in trouble for saying that they shouldn't open up. Now it is state doctrine. You have to agree with the state that China should open up and get rid of zero
People
COVID.
that are calling for mandatory tests, they're like, no, we want
the test.
We want
We're
mandatory
scared.
tests. We need it because, I mean, that's what you've been told for years.
For years, right?
Now you're scared.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we need it. Those people are getting into trouble.
Yeah, getting arrested.
Yeah. It's like because they're pushing too hard.
Yeah.
It's
And
ridiculous.
to cap it off, I kid you not, for the past few years, they've been saying that if anyone from the outside world tells you that COVID isn't deadly, or was deadly but has become something that's less deadly, then that's a foreign force or an operative from the CIA. Or
That's me, by the way.
Oh yeah, of course, according to Chinese state media.
Yeah.
People like him are trying to get in your head, right? Like ghosts in the machine.
Yes.
Into your head and convince you that COVID isn't deadly and that China's doing the wrong thing, right? That was a foreign force, and that was you're being co-opted by American propaganda, right?
Yeah.
Now, we're getting reports now, which I have in my notes here. People are spreading around this message, and it was from a NetEase article from the state media.
State media,
This is state
NetEase,
media,
yeah.
okay? To say that if you now say that COVID, right? If you now say that the current strain of COVID is dangerous, right? If you now say it is dangerous and that China shouldn't open up, right? Then that's a foreign force. That's you're being co-opted by CIA propaganda or American propaganda.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying that China's not ready to open up or that COVID's dangerous and you should be careful, that's foreign forces. They're literally, when I say 180, it was a 180.
Yes.
If you check the day before and then the next day, it was a 180.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yep.
It's crazy to see. It's very 1984. It's very like you have the wrong think today.
Yes.
Like you woke up and you're like, but you guys said for 3 years I couldn't do anything, you know. Next day they change it all and they're like, no, everything we told you is also true, but now is the opposite.
Yeah.
Repeat after me, and it's that's where we're at.
Yeah. It's absolutely
crazy.
insane. It's crazy. So let's talk about these protests. You know,
The psyop itself is a psyop.
yeah, exactly. It's crazy. So what's happening with protesters?
This is Wumao Corner.
Oh, it's Wumao Corner. Oh, you didn't tell me. All right. Wumao Corner, everybody, where we talk about the haters and what they're up to and all the nonsense.
The haterade.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
also related.
Yeah.
This is very much Wumao.
Yeah, I gotcha.
What's happening now is we have reports specifically in Guangzhou focus, but it's actually happened more so in the smaller tier cities that had protests. They are using contact tracing to not find COVID people, but to find people that were in the protests.
Yeah.
A4 Revolution, Guangzhou, and like I say, outlying cities around China, they're doing mass arrests.
Yeah.
So they're finding out who walked near the protests. They're finding out who was holding up papers. They're finding out who was in the street footage, you know, of the CCTV cameras. They're finding out family members of those people to find them. They're going door to door and arresting people. They're going and finding anybody involved, not just leaders, but just passive protesters. And they're making a big show of it in those areas. They're not making a big national show to show the world.
Oh, no, they don't
right?
want, because that might spark off more protests.
But they want people in the area to know. They want people to know that, yes, we're mass arresting you. You can't get away with what you did.
Sure.
There is not, like, just because China's doing a 180 on this whole zero COVID policy, they are not giving one little scrap, not one sprinkle of power to any of those protesters as to why they changed.
Yeah.
They changed because they found TCM
Yeah.
and that COVID's not dangerous anymore.
And it was the government's idea
And it
all
was-
along.
And they knew the whole time, and you should bow down and say thank you for locking us down for 3 years.
That's why these international headlines in
That's-
mainstream media are
it's such a disservice.
so immoral. They're like, oh, the protests worked.
Right.
You know, they did.
Elaborate.
I mean, yeah,
You know?
elaborate. They did. I mean, at the end of the day, the only reason that the Chinese government
Sure.
has changed its policy is because of those protests. Okay?
Yeah.
But it's not like in the West, you protest and then it changes a policy and everyone like goes and has a beer afterwards.
Yes.
No. In China, the protest didn't work. In China, the people that protested are being punished.
Yes.
And the narrative is that the Chinese government was going to do this all along anyway, and it was their idea.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with the protest.
And I want you to understand that, like, it's not like, let's say you go to a protest in the Netherlands, okay?
Yeah.
And you're protesting in the Netherlands, and you break a car window, so they arrest you.
Yeah.
You spend the night in jail, and they're like, "Don't do it again.
Pay
You
a fine.
right?" In China, when you go to a protest and they do decide we're going to go after everyone that was there, your life is over. Your future employment is endangered. You'll never get a state job. If you're in a city that has a social credit system, you have been ruined.
Yeah.
Your reputation is permanently besmirched. You're done.
Yeah.
You're done, right? This isn't like don't do it again. You know what I mean?
I guess it's kind of like in the States if you're a sex offender.
Yeah, great
know?
example. You're on a registry, right?
Yeah.
People know about it.
And you have to go and tell your neighbors, hey,
You have to tell your neighbors.
Dude, that must be the most awkward thing. Dude, that must suck so much. I'm never going to be a sex offender, but if I was, I'd literally go live in Alaska.
Live in a cave.
In the hills or something.
Yeah.
Because it's too
There's probably
cringe.
whole villages.
But then you probably have to go to like the cabins and knock
like,
on the
brother.
door. Yeah, tell the bears or something.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, that's
back
got to
on
be so
topic.
cringe. Just imagine that.
Then how
Wow.
about you don't be a sex offender?
No, I'm not going to.
I'm actually
just saying-
very thankful for that policy.
I think it's great, but I mean, imagine how horrid that must
it's gotta
be.
be so
And also for the neighbors. And then they're like, oh man, now we got a sex offender in the neighborhood.
The
Piece
sex
of
offender
shit.
shuffle. remember
Yeah,
that-
exactly.
that song? Anyway, long story short, what I'm trying to get at is your life is over if you're a protester in China. So what these, and I was talking to Jordan Harbinger the other day.
Yeah.
And we both of us agree, we hate when people are like, mainstream media and the narrative and all this
Sure.
stuff. When we're not trying to pull this shit, right?
Sure.
We're not tinfoil hatting. But there is a huge disservice because, like, I was reading a great article about it from the New York Times. It was a great article about it, but the headline rubbed me the wrong way because what it is like, guess the protests work.
Yeah.
Right? No, they didn't. I mean, they did in a way, but then those people's lives are over, and then China's sending a message to everyone and having a silent bloodbath behind the scenes to say, you can't do that.
Yeah, and
they
that's-
will make sure it doesn't happen again.
The propagandists have been going on about,
Yeah.
you know what they're saying is they're saying, see all these people in the West? They say you can't protest in China, but look, people did. But guess what? You can't protest in China. You can't.
It's this horrible thing.
Huge,
Oh my gosh.
the huge amount of courage that it took for those people to stand up, because it's not like in the West if you
No.
go out and like
No.
Black Lives Matter or whatever your current thing is that you want to go and do. You go stand out there with a placard, you go cause a ruckus or whatever, that's fine. You can't do that in China. If you do anything, especially against the government, that's it. You're done. You know? And so when you make that conscious choice to go out and join those protests, you are taking a leap, a massive, courageous leap, because you know that the possibility of your life being over is very real. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go join some people at a protest and, yeah, I mean, maybe we'll get pepper sprayed or something. It's not like that.
It's not like a fun event.
Yeah, it's not like, hey, I'm bored.
Protest is less.
That's all it is here in America, is like bored college kids want to go have fun.
Sure.
I mean, come on,
there's
man, like,
also
what's-
obviously things is a reason that protest is legal.
Yeah, well, I mean, certain types of
for
protests,
sure.
yeah. But I mean, it is. It's like, it's a fun event. It's get together. It's like going to a club. or
Yeah, I
something.
mean, like, it can be an enjoyable time for people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now, that's what I just wanted to cap this off with. Is not that the articles are wrong. It's that they serve a bad purpose, I think. It's in a you know what it does? It really helps China's propaganda. I want everyone to just walk away with this. If you don't learn anything from all this weird 180 that China did, learn that China, and this is what you can arm yourself with if you're having dinner table conversations or talking with people about this, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I heard about those COVID restrictions being lifted. What I want you to understand is that China's ultimate goal for this is for the West to say, look, the protests worked, right? They actually want that. They want Westerners to say that and say, look at what a free country it is.
Sure.
The 99.9% of people aren't going to search Freedom House rating for China and see that it's a 9 out of 100,
Sure.
right? And it's at the bottom of the world.
Yeah.
They want that. They want that as one prong. The other prong in China is they want everyone in China to think that the protest didn't work. They don't want anyone to know it. There's a media blackout, and they're arresting everyone that was involved.
Yeah.
So it's a dual. You see how it's a dual pronged approach.
Yeah, because seriously, we were having this discussion the other day. When we spoke to some people in China, asked them about the protests, we talk about the older generation, they didn't know it happened.
Yeah.
And the only thing they heard about was, oh, it was just like some migrant workers in this one area.
There was that was just one street in Guangzhou, and those weren't even local Guangzhou people. Those were migrant poor workers, and of course they're upset. Blah blah blah. It was like that.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
People that you would normally respect who are intelligent.
Yes.
The media blackout is so bad in China about those protests that a lot of people still don't even know they happened in the first place.
For sure.
You know?
So that's how I kind of wanted to end that, is to know that there is a bloodbath happening right now in China. And China wants you to think that the protesters got away with it. And in China, they're trying to scare the shit out of everyone.
Yeah, that's terrible. So are we going to go into worldview?
No, there's a couple more in there. I put the divider in the wrong thing.
Did you?
Yes, do Xiaobanhao first.
Okay, guys. Yes, we've got a special little crew of people, and they're the Xiaobanhos.
Yep.
Okay, every Monday we have a live show. It's something completely different. Let's just show you what you missed out last week. Eventually. Oh, hang on. I actually have to turn the audio on for that.
Let's play it again because I just want everyone to know. You know Shamata?
Yeah, we've talked about Shamata.
That's a Shamata club, and they are giving away free chickens.
Yeah, this is very China. Let's take a look.
Don't miss Xiaobanhao.
Don't miss Xiaobanhao. Let's see. And they'll take those chickens home, you know?
Oh, yeah. It's like a giveaway. What we're about to show you, we could never show on YouTube.
The Chinese government is using pornography.
This protest stuff is getting completely stifled by fake accounts.
Here's the Chinese government using its 50-cent army to go and flood out Western social media.
Bot accounts, porn, drugs, prostitution ads, right?
So you're basically paying for the Chinese government to run a spam campaign and drown out the protesters, you know?
Oh. Swing and a miss.
Yeah, guys, so the whole point of Xiaobanhao is it's not, I mean, last week we did talk about the protests, but it's usually
a big special, yeah.
It's usually not topical. I mean, it's not
It
like
is topical.
well, I mean, what I'm saying is it's usually not about what's in the news.
Yeah, for sure.
We like to show old footage or clips or things that we never shown on YouTube before, things that would get us demonetized anyway.
It's literally, you know what it is? Imagine what's new.
Yeah.
From our main show. That was loud.
Yeah.
It's like what's new, but uncensored, and absolutely would get us banned off YouTube.
Sure.
Like it's stuff we just can't show. It's like an uncensored version of the China show with the mostly fun stuff.
Yeah.
And where can you find it?
Oh, yeah. You can go to patreon.com/ADV podcast, and you can join the Xiaobanhao tier if you want to watch it, and then you can watch all the previous episodes as well. So that is kind of our VIP club.
Yeah.
And feel free, if you have the means, to join us because it's a lot of fun.
One more thing
Yes.
about that.
Okay.
It's not only live. It is live every Monday at 5 p.m. Or what is that in Pacific? That's 2 and 5, right? Pacific and Eastern time. The most important thing is you don't have to watch it live. If you sign up now, it sounds like a infomercial. If you sign up now,
If you call now.
No, seriously, if you sign up now, you get access to all the uncensored episodes we've done thus far. Yeah. Every Xiaobanhao up until I think we're on episode 24 now.
Yeah.
1 to 23, you can watch all of them.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll see you there on Monday. Now it's time
Please
to
join us.
continue with the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Act now.
And you'll also receive this magical Ginsu knife that can cut through a shoe.
You won't receive a
No,
Ginsu knife.
no, you won't. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, in Minecraft or whatever. Here's Worldview, where we talk about what's happening in the world, specifically with regards to China. And what did China do this time?
Amnesty hacked.
Beijing. Yeah, Amnesty hacked, sure.
Beijing hacked Amnesty International Canada. Like, I mean, if you want to know what a villain, like a cartoon villain stroking a cat on the lap is with an eye patch or something, that's the Chinese government. I mean, who hacks Amnesty?
What did they do that for? To find dissidents' names?
What do you think they did it for?
Yeah.
I mean, just think about it, right?
You know, when you want amnesty, the last thing you want is all your personal details leaked out to the Chinese government.
China is today's, I don't know how to put this more strongly. It is our modern equivalent of a real world villain country.
Yeah.
It's the world's villain right now, not the people of China, the government, which dictates how it approaches the rest of the world.
Yeah.
The Chinese government's really effed up.
Sure.
So there's not much more to say about that. You want to look into it, you look into it. Something I wanted to cover here, because I was so happy that Safeguard Defenders shouted us out on Twitter. Safeguard Defenders, report is in the description, by the way, is the organization that figured out that there were these secret Chinese police stations around the world that were acting out of They were operating out of restaurants.
Yeah, but they were in the
cleaners.
open. They had signs up saying police,
But they were registered at these addresses.
Sure.
They would go co-opt, and I think some of them weren't even on purpose. They would go to a Chinese restaurant and be like, hey, other Chinese person, we're going to operate out of here, and this is just how it's going to be.
Kind of like the mafia, Italian mafia,
so.
like out of pizzerias and stuff. And
Very
they're like,
much so.
And they're all there and like, oh, yeah, your mama or
Huff
whatever.
and I'll,
Yes.
huff and I'll blow your house down, Goldilocks.
That kind of thing,
Yeah. So Safeguard Defenders, this amazing organization, figured this out, right? And they figured out the locations of 56, 57, I can't remember, police stations around the world.
Sure.
Focusing on America, they figured out that one, it was in New York City. Okay.
Right.
There was an FBI investigation going into it from what we saw in the news a couple weeks ago. Then we saw other countries as well preempt this. I guess in the Czech Republic, they just shut one down. I just got a report from someone that I believe went to it.
Excellent.
Ireland, I believe, shut them down. They're being investigated in Germany, a bunch of European countries, right? There are also countries that were like, yeah, we already knew about that, like your home country.
Yeah, South Africa, they were like, we wanted that, we were like, hey, man, we need the extra police anyway. Such a rundown, ridiculous country.
Anyway, getting serious, most countries don't want this, obviously, right?
Sure.
So it got a lot of media attention. A lot of news picked it up, which was great. I'm pretty sure every major news outlet covered it.
Yes.
And so people were outraged, as they should be. Holy shit, the Chinese government has actual police stations hunting people down for Operation Fox Hunt.
Yes.
Because that's really what it is, right?
That's what it's for, yeah.
They were lying and they were saying, no, these police stations are just there to help people with
driver's licenses
and stuff. All the stuff the consulate's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Extra stuff, right?
Yeah.
Bullshit. Anyway, what it was probably being used for.
Oh, dude, sorry, my
was
favorite
surveillance.
was when they were like, it's for Chinese tourists who get lost.
Yeah. Oh,
And they don't know how to speak the language. That's what we're here for.
And
like,
it's a bunch
F off.
It's a bunch of freaking like
CCP.
known CCP guys from freaking Fujian or something.
Sitting around smoking cigarettes.
Smoking cigarettes. They don't speak English or Italian or whatever.
They're not going to be able to be a
they don't know
liaison for shit.
Dude, the tourist needs to help them out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Bend them over
Tourists
and give them a
is
spank.
more
Get out.
bloody
Be
sophisticated
like,
than
I'm
them.
supposed to be abroad. Get out of here.
Yeah, exactly,
Kick
yeah.
them back to Fujian.
Anyway, sorry, yeah.
Long story short, this is a great graph here. This shows that the countries that had already had some stations, right?
Yeah.
And also there are some new ones.
New ones have been discovered.
There's now been 110 discovered, and I got a list here. You can see if your country's involved because we know we have a huge international audience. Shout out to everyone that's from everywhere, and it tells you which branch it is from.
Okay.
So you have the Fujian, the Qingtian ones. These are all different branches and versions of them, and this graph will show you which ones that have been recently discovered as well.
Okay.
Right? So now, if we want to focus on the U.S. just for a second, they discovered one in New York, but they also now found one in L.A.
I'm pretty sure you're going to have in San Francisco. Bay Area's got to have like 10. At least. Okay?
Probably. Anyway,
I'm guessing.
Yes, but it hasn't been discovered yet.
Yeah.
My point is that after the media attention, Safeguard Defenders didn't stop and say, we did our job.
Sure.
They kept going, and they kept exposing them.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Safeguard Defenders is not really high up on the list of the CCP right now in terms of being loved.
Sure.
I think it's on the shit list, probably top 5 shit list organizations
Yes,
for the
yes.
CCP. Because this is very damning. I mean, this puts a huge dent in their international sphere.
Yeah.
I'm assuming any country with rule of law. I mean, there's gonna be a bunch on here that aren't gonna have rule of law, but
Are we going to read them out?
any country, we don't have to. We can read out some of them. Any country with rule of law is gonna investigate this, right? Like, look at Japan. There's been one located in Japan now.
Yeah.
In Tokyo.
Makes sense.
I mean, this is like an
Maybe you
enemy
can just
nation.
lay down a beat track or something, a beatbox, and I'll read them out.
I don't know how to beatbox.
Oh, man, you don't? I thought you had to
I can
rap.
definitely do rock music though.
Not too loud, okay. Angola, Argentina, Australia, Austria, Bangladesh, Brazil, Brunei,
We don't have to read all these. Anyway,
Cambodia, Canada. Yeah, okay, fine.
not only. Oh, by the way, I want to give a shout out to Italy for being the most. I don't want to use the word. I'll call them clucked.
Okay, yeah.
The most clucked
Yeah,
country.
geez, there's a lot in Italy.
What are you doing? Hey, Italy, what are you doing? Is that an
Yeah.
Italian accent? I don't know how to do it.
Like, you gotta go.
Definitely
like
do that. I did this.
Yeah, exactly. You know what you can say?
The coronavirus is 100% under control here right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so can we get back to it?
Yeah.
So Italy, I don't know what has happened. Italy.
They got 7, right?
I believe 11. Because look, there's multiple,
Oh, yeah.
multiple branches in each.
Yeah,
What?
dude. Wow. Yeah, that's right.
What have
They have 11.
done? Everyone said, what was that accent? Yeah, I have no idea. So no one can call me discriminatory against Italy because I didn't even get the accent right.
Yeah.
I should know. I grew up around Italians. Anyway, look at all these, right? They're freaking everywhere. Spain's got shit tons too. Spain is absolutely covered in these things. I
Canada
think of
as
them
well,
like,
but that's no surprise.
I think of them as like acne marks or like pock marks or kind of like smallpox.
Yeah.
You know, CCP. Imagine CCP police stations in your country are like smallpox.
They are.
Right.
Yeah.
You should eradicate CCP police stations in your country.
Hey, the
That's
UK's got a whole
ridiculous.
bunch too.
Yeah. Let's not forget the UK.
Yeah.
But it's nowhere near Italy.
No.
Anyway, long story short, these have been exposed and found, but the most important part of this report is they've gone more into depth about what they do and how it was founded, okay? And what the Chinese government's done to really kind of cleanse itself, right, is to have no direct involvement. You know, China does this. They like to put layers between themselves and their bullshit United Front operations.
Sure.
So what China does is back in 2017, they actually put out an article which finally links, like looking through this, you can finally link to what they were trying to do here.
Right.
And you kind of see the inception of how this actually happened. And it's really all, it boils down to Operation Fox Hunt, which is China's goal of finding people that they want to go bring back to China to prosecute. They don't want them floundering around abroad.
And that's the thing. You got to understand that it's usually government officials. It's the Chinese government themselves hunting down themselves.
Yes.
Because the Chinese government is an it's an incredibly corrupt organization.
Yeah.
So that's why they can just point the finger and say, you're corrupt, and they'll be correct 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Because everyone is on the take. And so when you get a CCP official, I mean, Xi Jinping himself has got like assets abroad and family abroad and everything. Everyone does. Everyone does. So, you know, when one of them is like, I got to get out of here because maybe I've taken a little bit too much off the top, or maybe it's my turn. I'm about to be fingered, literally, by the CCP, by Xi Jinping. Sounds terrible. They leave. And they go to another country, Canada, Australia, whatever,
wherever,
where they already have their mansion and they've got their family there and they've got their citizenship, which they bought through investment visas or whatever. And they go there, and then the CCP is like, screw that. We want our like 10 billion RMB that you took away with you. We want it back. So then they obviously send people out to go and get them back.
I think it does a massive disservice, though, to only hyper focus on that because it's not.
Of course.
It's, I mean, they use these stations. They use Operation Fox Hunt to hunt down anyone that opposes the Chinese government,
of course.
too.
I mean, that's the other half. Let's
Yes.
say it's half and half. It's half that, and the other half is like, oh, there's a pro-Tibetan, protester who's causing a lot of waves in Australia or something.
Or a student or something.
Oh, look, there's a student who said, down with Xi Jinping. Hey, police station over there. We're going to talk to his family here. You go and talk to him there.
Oh, there's a fan of Serpents today.
Yeah, exactly.
He studies at, New Mexico University.
Yeah, go lean on him a bit.
Yeah, and they do. We know this for a fact. So I've linked this below. I highly recommend you read through this report. It's not boring. It's like really concise.
Yeah.
And they've what I wanted to say was they've pointed out even more factors involved now.
Sure.
And this has gotten massive attention. I don't see I see a very quick expiration date on these stations.
Right.
After what I saw. This is the original Wuma, by the way.
Oh, what, this over here?
Yeah, this is an old narc propaganda poster about how to narc on your neighbor or somebody you know if they've gotten sick from encephalitis or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
Just thought this is a good throwback. And speaking of history, I wanted to give a history to one of the original Western Wumaos. I remember we shared a CNN post last episode, right? The really bad news that unfortunately Henry Kissinger was found alive.
Oh yeah, but before before we get to that, a big shout out to Fergus Ryan, who's kind of very much involved in researching because he works for ASPI, which is a think tank in Australia, and he researches a lot of the goings on when it comes to the Chinese government.
Yeah,
now,
his stuff's great.
By the way, you know Zhao Lijian,
Warrior.
He's this guy. The projection guy, right?
Yes.
He's one of the biggest wolf warriors. In fact, he's the king of the wolf warriors, okay? He's the one who's always like, you always see the picture of him like this, where he's like, the US must answer for releasing COVID to the world or whatever, you know? Like, Australia should stop slitting the throats of young children or whatever. He's always, he's that guy, right? He's a very obnoxious individual. So his wife, first of all, has been touring around Germany and taking photos of...
Like, wow, admiring Germany's countryside.
Yeah, and at the same time blaming foreign forces for the protests, by the way.
Yeah.
But she sent a request to Elon Musk to have her Twitter account unbanned, and it was unbanned.
This is not what I want to see happening.
No. So she thanked Elon Musk for reversing her Twitter suspension, but Weibo users want to know why she's allowed to use Twitter and they're not.
Kind of backfired, too, because domestically in China, people are like, wait... Because she is on Weibo, right? Or she's on like Chinese internet, and it's being seen.
She's bragging about it. She thanked Elon Musk on Chinese social media.
Yeah, and people are like, "Wait, why are you thinking we can't use Twitter? It's blocked."
She's not a diplomat. She doesn't fall under that. You're a government diplomat, so you can be on Twitter.
Nope.
You know why is she allowed on Twitter?
Makes no sense, right?
Yeah. By the way, it's illegal to use a VPN in China for the average pleb.
Yep.
And everybody who says that's not true, I've got actual...
We did. We showed it last time.
And
we showed the document.
And we've got cases where people have been fined, where people have, had court trouble because of it, actually have that. So it's really true. It's not some made-up shit. The thing is, the people that are normally saying, oh, it's fine, are usually foreigners. And for foreigners, it is fine.
Yeah.
Foreigners are allowed, just like foreigners, the one-child policy never applied to foreigners.
Yeah.
You could have as many kids as you want, even with a Chinese local, which I think is unfair. And a bad example to set if you're one of those people who love China so much. Why is it that you get the privilege of having more kids where a local can't type thing? You know what I mean?
For sure.
It's okay for foreigners to use VPNs because they are foreigners. They're not Chinese.
Correct.
And the law is for Chinese people. So it's always those people. They're like, cry about it. Go get it in the app store or whatever. It's because they're foreigners and the law doesn't apply to them.
Yes.
So they think because it doesn't apply to them, it doesn't apply to everyone. That's not true. You're just too dumb to realize the law that applies to local people is not applying to you.
Yeah.
You dumbasses.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Let's talk about the raisin Kissinger.
Oh, yeah. The raisin.
He just looks like a raisin, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
So Henry Kissinger, very much instrumental in the villainous status of China today, elevating China to its status that it is today.
Yep.
Just wanted to throw back a little piece of history.
Yeah, please enlighten everyone, because most people, if that aren't ancient, don't know about this.
Yeah. So in 1973, Mao, that's Chairman Mao, as you can see on the left, with his black teeth that look like freaking dead flies in his mouth.
He didn't brush his teeth. He only rinsed
tea.
his mouth with tea or whatever.
Swish it, swish.
Swish.
I read his doctor's account. He said his doctor said that Mao was one of the most disgusting people that has ever lived. Like his hygiene was so bad.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sense.
Mao in 1973, Mao offered Kissinger 10 million Chinese women to the United States. Amid a discussion trade of 1973, Chairman Mao Zedong made what Secretary of State Henry A. Kissinger called a novel proposition.
Novel.
Kissinger didn't poo-poo this.
Okay. So that's an interesting idea.
Sending tens of thousands, even up to 10 million Chinese women to the United States. Quote, this is Mao. China is a very poor country, Mao said, according to a document released by the State Department's Historian Office. We don't have much. What we have is an excess of women. So if you want them, we can give you a few of those to you, some tens of thousands. A few minutes later, Mao circled back to offer, do you want our Chinese women, he asked? We can give you 10 million. After Kissinger noted Mao was improving his offer, the chairman said, we have too many women. They give birth to children, and our children are too many. And then this is what Kissinger said. It is such a novel proposition, he replied. We'll have to study it.
Okay.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
So human trafficking, basically.
This is like the great human trafficking deal of 1973, which thank goodness never transpired, because that is the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, women hold up half the sky, remember?
Apparently, because Mao is often quoted by a lot of people just, probably not even maliciously,
Yeah.
as being some sort of feminist. And he quite literally offered 10 million Chinese women as a gift.
Yeah,
to
to
a
like
country,
sell them.
To sell them.
Yeah,
for
to the
diplomacy.
USA.
Yeah. It's just a little reminder. This is the foundations of the Chinese government.
Yeah.
Who has fallen, I believe, 19 ranks in women's freedom, by the way.
Recently.
Yeah, recently, under Xi Jinping.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So if anyone's ever trying to tell you about equality in China when it comes to the sexes, tell them to go take a hike.
Yeah.
And then on that hike, find a lake and jump into it and then drown.
Nathan99 said, 2022, China later, please, we need women.
Yeah.
There's now 30 million too many men in China.
Yes.
So Chairman Mao did not foresee his problem here.
Yep. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the show, but not the end of the show, the end of the main show, because now it's Yamcha time. This is our questions and answers, where we answer your questions and you question our answers. I get to loosen the tie. We leave it up for the weekend. We cut it out of the show on Monday because it usually drags on pretty long. But we're going to answer your super chats. So let's get into it. It's Friday. I hope everyone is relaxed and having a good time.
All right. Let's begin.
Let's do it.
People love when you slap the table. Nice.
Did I just do it again?
You made me cough for some reason.
They love when you cough.
They definitely love when I cough.
People love that. I heard about it.